Okay, so welcome, Kim,
Thank you.
again to the Zoom room for another Art of Letting Go live session. Here we are. It's the two of us tonight, so we'll dive straight into our quote for today from Paramahansa Yogananda, which is all about peace, finding peace as foundation of happiness. But he will say that better than I can, so I'm just going to share my screen with you. If you can read the quote to kick it off. There we go. Can you see that?
Yeah. Peace is the altar of God, the condition in which happiness exists.
Yeah, very short, simple, but profound quote, nevertheless, by Paramahansa Yogananda, who, in case you don't know, was an Indian yogi and spiritual teacher. He was one of the holy men of India, who brought the teachings and practice of yoga to the West in the first half of the 20th century. So he was tasked by his guru to go to America, California particularly, and start teaching the true science of yoga. He taught something called the Kriya Yoga, which is a phenomenal breathing technique. And really, all of this has roots in Advaita Vedanta, which is the uh, Indian counterpart, the Eastern counterpart of A Course in Miracles. As Bill Thetford, one of the co-writers, said, this is the Course in Miracles is like the Christian Vedanta. So he's just talking about happiness and that it can only exist when your mind is at peace. And that's what I call foundational happiness, without which you can't be authentically happy.
Mm.
So if there's no peace, then any happiness is illusory. You might find temporary happiness in a thrill by taking a substance, drinking something, eating something, smoking something, buying something, doing some activity. But if there isn't that foundational happiness of an underlying peace, that is not going to satisfy you. And this is what the Buddha noticed. He said, craving is the source of all unhappiness, because you're craving and you crave and you're trying to find
Mm.
satisfaction in the world, but you can't. As the Rolling Stones, famous Rolling Stones song said, I can't get no satisfaction, and I try, and I try, and I try. Great song,
Mm.
because it's really indicative of this craving nature of the ego, and that doesn't matter what you try within that framework, it's never going to work, because there's no foundational happiness. So any seeming experience that you experience without the foundation of inner peace is merely temporary satisfaction, experience the result of seeking some external goal that just can't satisfy you for very long, because nothing external to you that seemingly exists in the world of form is real. So how can the unreal
Mm.
satisfy you? That's what we are trying to do when we try and find satisfaction in external forms. You're trying to say that the unreal world can satisfy you who are real, and somehow content the you, the part of you that's real and that knows the truth. But this is how the ego works. So it's tempting us always to look outside of ourselves for this elusive state of happiness that will
Mm.
supposedly come to us when we've attained some goal related to the external world that we set ourselves. But we must consciously let go of this temptation to deny our own happiness, because that hurts us. As the Buddha noted 2,500 years ago, desire or craving, dukkha. Sorry, he called it in. Let's go to the second noble truth. He called it samudaya. Second noble truth is samudaya, and he called craving was tana. Concept of tana, which means craving. So craving comes in various forms. It can be pleasing the senses. You want sense pleasures, great views, delicious meals. You can crave to be something you're not. So you want to be rich, famous, wealthy, popular, etc. If you remember, you've watched Forrest Gump.
Mm.
Remember his girlfriend who wanted to go to Hollywood and become a singer and a star, and she was trying to
Mm.
explain to him, well, you kind of want to be something else. You want to be better than you, and she's kind of going to the simpleton. Well, obviously, and he's going, but I just am what I am. It was a great scene, and you see the unhappiness that she has, and the relative happiness and success that he has from these two different mindsets.
Mm.
Because he's just like, well, I'm just me. I'm just Forrest Gump. I'm not trying to be anything else, and I'm just doing what I do full on. I'm just doing it
Mm.
100%. Don't hold back, and I don't have all these cravings and desires and past traumas and issues going on. So what that was showing us, that movie, was the enlightened way, as opposed to people who are not enlightened, who are supposedly smarter, but actually not very smart, because in the end,
Mm.
his life is happier, more successful than theirs, even though he's so simple, he's so stupid. It's a very, very profound spiritual message. But
Mm.
then the craving not to be, this means that people want to stop something from happening or get rid of something. For example, to not feel pain after a fall, or to not feel the pain of losing a loved one, or to not feel the pain of financial loss and so on. So what the Buddha was teaching was that everything's just impermanent. Anicca, they call it in Buddhism. Um, Therefore, people should avoid getting attached to things, as eventually everything is going to change. We've just discussed this in some depth in our expression session. But if we attach to
Mm.
the changeable, it's inevitable that we're going to suffer. That's what he noticed. And because cravings lead to disappointment, lead to grievances, and the three poisons, these are seeking, sense pleasures, seeking to be something you're not, seeking not to be something, are three poisons that only deepen people's desire. So the more we do it, the more we indulge the craving nature of our ego, the more we crave. And any addict will tell you that. The more you seek for the fix, you get it temporary. It's only temporary satisfaction, and then it's over, and then you're craving again. And that is hell, as the Buddha noticed. So we get stuck in this cycle of samsara, which is the cycle of birth and death, and we cannot
Mm.
reach nibbana or nirvana because we're stuck in craving and in grievances. Craving leads to grievances. Um, in the Course of Miracles, Yeshua calls them idle wishes and grievances. Buddha called
Mm.
it craving and aversion. It's the same thing, really. However you want to phrase it, they were really saying the same thing, just in different ways, using different language. But the more you go into these teachings of the great masters, the more you see that it is really all the same. There isn't really, it's one truth, just coming at it from slightly different perspectives and angles. And if you penetrate through the apparent differences, you see it's really the same message. They're not saying anything different. It's just
Yeah.
how they're saying it. The language obviously changes because it's different language. The cultural setting changes. Maybe the way it's expressed changes. Different term, but it's not fundamentally different. Buddhism is saying the same as Jesus said. So at the essence, they are the same. The Buddha's detachment, non-attachment from craving and aversion is the same as Yeshua's forgiveness of sins. It's the same thing. It's just a different way of expressing it in a different cultural context, but actually, remarkably similar, given they lived 500 years apart. But there's a theory that Yeshua went to the East and he would have then been exposed to the Buddha's teachings, for sure. Because Buddhism was, by that time quite well established in the East, and he would have known these. So maybe he learned it and he just He just went back to his country and translated it into a language that they could understand, which is what any good teacher would do. If he talked about Tana and Advaita, it's called, is their version, they wouldn't understand. But if he talks about forgiveness of sins, then they did understand. So it's just about what's going to work in that particular time, in that context. So instead
Yeah,
of
that's
looking for
very
happiness where you'll
possible.
never find it, in a goals you need to do something to achieve, what we should be doing is focusing on stilling our minds, which, as Yogananda observes in today's quote, is the condition which happiness is naturally present. The phrase altar of God means the foundation of perfect love. When translated into alternative Auslango language, tells you that you can only experience peace when you are aware of perfect love or oneness. So to help you reflect more deeply on this truth today, set a powerful pattern for the rest of the year in motion. Translated the quote into alternative language below. So if you can read that, just makes it even more explicit as to what we're talking about. So the original piece is the altar of God, the condition in which happiness exists. And the alternative is,
Stillness is the foundation of perfect love, a condition in which happiness is naturally experienced.
So peace and happiness arise naturally when your mind is still. As this quote from one of the really seminal books in the so-called New Thought movement of the 19th century, that in turn led to the rise of the personal growth industry in the 20th in the US. Beautifully puts it. So if you can read this, one of my favorite quotes actually about anything, but particularly about happiness.
Happiness is a butterfly which, when pursued, is always just beyond your grasp, but which, if you'll sit down quietly, may come and alight on you.
Hmm. Lovely analogy. Yeah, if we're chasing butterflies, I don't know if you ever try to catch butterflies in nests, but it's a very frustrating pursuit.
No, I mean I saw some in this garden, even those little ones around, like
Yeah,
the grass where those little flowers were then cut,
yeah,
but they just flutter like there's, yeah, you'll be, not that I try, but you'd be
yeah.
chasing.
Yeah, you're chasing and
Mm.
chasing, and they're elusive. It's like, oh, I thought I got it, and then
Mm.
but like trying to
Yeah.
catch flies, swat flies, or
Yes.
actually a spiritual practice, which was shown in the Karate Kid, was trying to catch flies with chopsticks.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Apparently,
that's
Bruce Lee
right.
used to do, was one of his practices. Was like, because I've got to be so sharp that I'm going to catch a fly with a chopstick.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it's about letting go of that craving, of that seeking, and just saying, well, if I sit quietly, then it's going to come. I don't have to seek it. And that sitting quietly, we call meditation. It's really just you boil these things down to a very simple practice. Thousands of years ago, before it was called meditation, people just figured out that if you just sat down quietly and were calm and you did a bit of breathing, naturally you felt happier. And then the mind came up with all kinds of worries and concerns. Then you just needed to let those go and restore your mind to this natural quietness. And then happiness arises. So the only condition for it is that you need to empty your mind of all the rubbish that normally populates it. You don't need to go seeking it. You just need to let go. And that's the fundamental truth that all the great teachers and teachings teach, which is also in this book. This is from The Golden Key to Prosperity and Happiness. It's an incredibly long title. It's got to be the longest book title in history. How's that for title? The Golden Key to Prosperity and Happiness, a complete educator embracing thorough instruction in every branch of knowledge, an encyclopedia of useful information comprising every essential to success in all departments of business and social life. It's like, okay. Long title.
What was that?
Should have
What
spent.
was that?
This is the title
Well,
of the book.
the
This
one
is,
where the quote is from,
yes, yeah.
from
The
the
golden
key
key
to
to prosperity and
prosperity.
happiness. You should have just left it there, but then colon, a complete educator embracing thorough instruction. And if it's like, okay, way too long a title. But anyway,
Who
this is
wrote
based on marketing.
Who wrote it?
It's a good point, actually. Let's have a look. Uh, not a particularly well-known author, but it was one of those foundational books. It was published in the 1880s, I think.
Wow.
So it was one of those foundational books that then influenced a generation of thinkers. And then, you got the likes of Napoleon Hill and James Allen, who was sort of the early part of that. And
Mm.
then that evolved into the personal growth industry with gurus like Tony Robbins and John DeMartini and so on and so on.
Mm.
All based on this original kind of thinking. So it's just taking an incredibly long time to download because I've got something else downloading. I'm downloading the final file of the breathwork course for the third time. Hopefully it'll work this time. So it just hasn't. Anyway,
Okay.
that will come back to that. Doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon, does it? So it's good something's already downloading. But yeah, it's one of those foundational books that form part of this what was called the New Thought movement, which then became the personal growth movement in the 20th century. Uh, so the practice of consciously sitting and stilling your mind is known as meditation in most spiritual traditions, but some call it prayer. It's really the same thing, communing with God. You don't say, please God, do this and do this for me. That's a very immature form of prayer. The true prayer is to just go into the awareness in a meditation or prayer of that presence that we call God, and become aware of it and commune with it. Just stay in that experience for that time, and allow that feeling of happiness, peace, joy that comes from the abundance to arise, and just clean your mind of everything else. And that's really what meditational prayer is should be about. So it's important that we make time for this every day. It's like brushing your teeth. It's like sleeping. It's like washing our bodies. It's something that we should be doing every day because it's so essential to our health and well-being. But most people don't make time to do that. And I just think, well, what would I do without my hour? Probably all in all, in a day, I'll probably do about 2 hours of some form of meditation, contemplation. How would I operate without that? I shudder to think. I'm like, that's where I'm processing, I'm learning lessons, I'm letting go, I'm getting inspirations, I'm solving problems. It all happens in that quiet space. So if you don't do that, then how does it happen? Well, the answer is mostly it doesn't for people. They just don't have that going on, and then their life becomes shallow and rooted in the world of form rather than in the eternal presence within them.
Donna, do you like do the recording, the ones for the lessons as well? Or
No, so what I do is the longer I call it the guided letting go theta meditation.
yeah.
So that's sort of become. I used to vary it a bit and do a couple others, but it's just my go-to now. I'm like, that really takes me through a nice process of dealing with whatever's coming up. And I go through
Mm.
a process of looking at it, letting it go, and then finding a higher self. I do a couple of. I remind myself of the first 7 lessons in the text as part of that. and the 7 truths that are part of the Art of Letting Go course. So there's a bit
Mm.
of extra things I put in there, and then I'll read the lesson afterwards. So while I'm doing, I do exercises for sciatica. So while I'm doing those, I'll read the lesson or just contemplate more. I'll go into and so what I do is I'll hold say a problem, or let's say it's a business venture. I'll hold it in mind for a bit, and I'll just kind of go, okay, well, show me, what should I do about that? And sometimes ideas come then and there, and sometimes they don't. But it's really just kind of giving it all over to spirit, holding it in mind, and then saying, okay, I'm giving that to you. I'm surrendering whatever happens with that particular project. I'm surrendering it to you. And so there's like a letting go, a surrender. It's like, oh, okay, so today I'm getting up to make that happen. It's more like, okay, this is what's in my life currently, and I'm just gonna let go and trust the outcome. And so by the time I finish with that, there's a lot of peace. There's
Mm.
this foundational happiness going on, um, and it set me up for a peaceful, happy, and flowing experience of life where I'm functional, I'm operating, I'm doing stuff continuously. Sometimes I'll work for 12 hours a day or longer. I'm in the flow, but it's kind of set me up for that flow. And then again at night, just a kind of reflection on the day. I do the lesson again, reflect on, okay, so what did I learn? Those 4 questions, which
Mm.
well, down here, I'll come back to this. Just want to show you. So
Mm. Yeah.
those 4 questions, I
Like
asked those. I'm like,
differently.
okay, so there was a difficulty, you know, how could I have handled this difficult situation better? And
Mm.
so what did I learn? And how does that learning serve me? And what am I grateful for? So it's a nice way to just review the day and try and learn from those experiences so that you don't have to make the same mistakes over and over again. So it's a reflection, which then
Mm.
sets you up for a good night's sleep. And then you wake up the next day and you prep yourself and you go again. And so
Mm.
you, what Stephen Covey is calling sharpening the saw. You got this process of work and activity, but there's renewal built in to it. And if you don't do that, you will burn out. Without renewal, you ultimately, you burn yourself out,
Yeah.
which is,
Mm.
very common in today's society because a lot of people don't do enough renewal work. So they might go on a holiday. People just been on holiday. Okay, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Okay, I can go again a bit, but then they don't integrate these kinds of practices like meditation or prayer into their life.
Mm.
So then they get burnt out again. Oh, I need another holiday. And then often they turn to substances and so on to keep them going because they
Mm.
just they just can't they can't sustain. But if you go within and you find the source of power, true power, and abundance within you, then that source sustains you. It's like you're drinking from the well of your source every day, and you've made that part of an integral part of your day. It should be. It's a bit like saying, I'm gonna run my car, and I'm never gonna visit the fuel station. If you
Mm.
or if it's an electric
Yes,
car, you're never
yes.
going to charge it
Yeah.
up. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Obviously, that's not going to work. It's going to run out of fuel. It's going to stop. Or okay, I'll fuel it, but I won't service it. I won't check things like the oil and the water and tires, and I'll just drive the thing until it breaks. Well, that's kind of what we do to our bodies, which is crazy. When just integrating these things into your life can make such a huge difference. I go, like, how would I cope? How would I cope with life if I didn't do that? I don't know. I don't think I would. I don't think anyone really does. So this happiness, this happy, peaceful flow state can only be obscured by separating thoughts and emotions and negate it. It's always there, but the thoughts come up and they negate or deny your true awareness. And so we call them negative. I pronounce it as negative because it's negative. It's like, okay, it's just a negative. No, it's a negative thought. It negates your true thoughts and emotions. It negates the truth of who you are. So the only way to reconnect with this awareness and the peace, happiness, joy, and flowing freedom it inevitably leads you to experience is to let them go and allow it to arise in awareness, right? So clear away what blocks the awareness of love's presence, the negative thoughts and emotions, and lo and behold, then you have love, and you have these words just describe love, peace, happiness, joy, freedom. These all aspects of the experience of love. It's all love. It's all just really one thing, but in this world we have different names for it. So this is why Yeshua advises us to practice stilling our minds, which is the same as letting go of negative and hence false thoughts and emotions. Same thing. You're going to still your mind. Well, you've got to let go of the negative thoughts and emotions. And then you'll find stillness, you'll find quiet, then you'll find peace, and then you'll find this foundational happiness we talked about. And he's asking us to do that over and over using the workbook lessons in A Course in Miracles. And this is why I've recorded meditations and shorter breath breaks that will guide you through practicing each lesson in longer and shorter meditations as an integral part of the program. So I do meditate on the lessons, but it tends not to be a longer one. I do that in my longer form meditation. So I'll do the short. You know, it might be 5 minutes. I'll read it. I'll reflect on it, and it's just my own meditation. Sometimes I'll listen to my own breath breaks and stuff. I'm in the car and stuff, so I do time to time. But reading the lesson is enough for me mostly.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I can really recommend listening to longer meditations twice a day. At least do one longer meditation um,
Mm.
every day, and if you can do a 2 morning and evening, you know, that's a good rhythm to get into. And then short breath breaks in between. If you can do those sort of 3 times a day, you top yourself up. So you don't forget for a long period of like 12 hours. 3 times a day, so every 2, 3 hours you're doing something. It just reconnects you, it just tops you up. And that's the idea that, you know, this is ever present. You're not forgetting this because it's the truth. So meditation and radical forgiveness, or letting go is another way of phrasing it, are undoubtedly the most powerful spiritual practices that you can do to stop hurting yourself with your own negative thinking. Become aware again of your true nature as pure formless awareness of perfect love. So there's really no more empowering resolution that you could possibly make than saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to meditate regularly this year, because that then facilitates everything else. So you might be wondering, well, you know, how will this benefit me materially? Because maybe, you know, money's an issue and I need more money. You got to bear in mind that many highly successful and wealthy business people, such as Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Deepak Chopra, all of whom have been very successful in their business careers, um, they've made meditation and other spiritual practices an integral part of their daily lives. So it was one of Steve Jobs' last wishes that every person who attended his funeral should be given a copy of Paramahansa Yogananda's autobiography, because it
Mm.
was such an important book to him, and he wanted everyone to be exposed to it, which is quite something. So he read it every
Yeah.
year. That was kind of his Bible. So yeah, I highly recommend. It's a really, really interesting read. You can download it there. Talks about his
Yeah.
experiences, talks about going to California, talks about Kriya Yoga, which is going to be one of the techniques I'll be teaching in the breathwork course. That's going to be part of the Art of Letting Go course. So, yeah, um, that leads us quite nicely into today's mind training lesson from A Course in Miracles. So let's dive into that then, shall we? Having prepped for
Yeah.
it. All right, so we'll skip the maybe I should install it next time. Keep skipping it. All right. So this is lesson 318. We'll skip what is the last judgment, which in summary is, well, maybe just read the summary. Just read the summary of it, Kim.
Can I
So
just read the whole thing?
have you read the last judgment?
Yeah, we did the last judgment before, yeah.
We did, yeah.
In the last session.
We did, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it was just to sort of summarize it briefly. So how about you read one paragraph, I'll read the next paragraph. I'll just we don't have to discuss it much. And we'll go into
And
the
yeah, sorry, I'm just really starting to feel quite tired. And
okay,
I'm and
I'll
I'm
skip it.
yeah.
All right.
So we do the key message maybe,
Key
and
message.
then yeah, because I'm just because I'm reading on my phone as well, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I
yeah.
got any
I'm
time.
gonna,
Okay, so read the key message
okay,
then.
so perfect love's final judgment corrects all errors, freeing me to know my true identity and experience the peace and happiness this brings. I welcome perfect loving awareness, which restores me to the awareness that I am innocent, limitless, extension of my own source, or my source, and helps everyone to understand the same truth.
Yeah, so nothing. It's not saying anything we don't already know. But the final judgment simply says all the errors are meaningless. None of it matters at all, and so you're free to be in this pure formless awareness of perfect love, your true awareness.
Yeah,
He uses
and
these terms quite
judgments is
cleverly. The last judgment, the second coming, these are all Christian terms, and he's using those as teaching aids to say, okay, so let's look at what that really means and let's reinterpret it, because the last judgment is quite a fearful concept in Christianity. It's hell and damnation, and God's
mm,
going to punish you, and when
yeah,
actually it's just the last judgment of the Holy Spirit on the ego is that this is not true, this is not real, and so it can be let go of. All right. So that preps us nicely for the lesson. Let's dive into lesson 318. Shall I read the original? You read the alternative.
okay.
In me, salvation's means and end are one.
The means and end of awakening are one in me.
Yeah, quite an interesting idea. That means and end are really the same. Cause and effect start to merge at the highest level of non-dual awareness. That's the truth. There is no cause, there is no effect. It's just one singular awareness. Okay, so let's have a look
Yeah,
at what he has to say about that. Shall I read the original? You read the alternative line by line.
okay.
So in me, God's Holy Son, are reconciled all parts of heaven's plan to save the world.
In me, perfect love's innocent extension, all parts of its plan to awaken the uh, world are reconciled.
Hmm. What could conflict when all parts have but one purpose and one aim?
What could conflict when all the parts have only one purpose and one aim?
I should change that to can. What could conflict? What can conflict?
Yeah, change it to can.
What can conflict when all parts have only one purpose and one aim? Brings it more sort of into the present. So how could there be a single part that stands alone, or one of more or less importance than the rest?
How can there be a single part that stands alone or one of more or less importance than the rest?
I am the means by which God's Son is saved, because salvation's purpose is to find the sinlessness that God has placed in me.
I am the means by which perfect love's extension is awakened, because awakening's purpose is to find the innocence that perfect love guarantees is within me.
So sinlessness becomes innocence. I think that's quite an important translation. Instead of defining it in negative terms, we're defining it as a positive quality. Innocence is sinlessness, but he takes the sinless, so defines it from the negative and says that it's less that, doesn't have that, whereas this is affirming the positive, which I think is always better. Okay, so I was created as the thing I seek.
I'm extended as the self I seek.
I am the goal the world is searching for.
I'm the goal the world is searching for.
I am God's Son, his one eternal love.
I am perfect love's extension, its one eternal love.
I am salvation's means and end as well.
I am both the means and end of awakening.
Okay, and from the top, we read an alternative from the top kindly.
So can you just move that little cursor?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yep.
In me, perfect love's innocent extension, all parts of its plan to awaken the world are reconciled. What can conflict when all the parts have only one purpose and one aim? How can there be a single part that stands alone, or one or more less important than the rest? I am the means by which perfect love's extension is awakened, because awakening's purpose is to find the innocence that perfect love guarantees is within me. I am extended as the self I seek. I am the goal the world is searching for. I am perfect love's extension, the one eternal love, and I am both the means and end of awakening. So it's saying it's just as we are the extension of perfect love, there's no one part or separate part that is any more important than the other. It's like we're all one, it's all one, and yeah, there's no part to it really because it's all one. And hence the means of the awakening and the end goal is all one, because it's just all one. It's all one love. That's basically what it's saying.
Yeah, there's no cause and effect, not in
Mm.
non-duality. There's only one reality. There's no cause and effect, because that would imply separation, that would imply time. It all collapses into one. So what's within me is the means and the end of awakening. I'm the means is given to me from my source, the remembrance of perfect love, and the end of awakening, which is that final state, is also there, and they're there simultaneously. So if we have a look let's have a look. I actually looked at this with John earlier, the Holy Trinity diagram. We see the end of awakening is God, or in our language, pure formless awareness of perfect love. The means of awakening is awareness of our true self or Christ, and the Holy Spirit, or remembrance of perfect love or oneness, which helps us to remember the God, pure formless awareness of perfect love, and interpret the world differently. So true perception is just oneness now come into all of our perceptions to transform that perception of the various experiences we seem to have in time and space. So that's the means, Holy Spirit and the Christ working together, and then the end is this awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love. But the remembrance of this awareness becomes the means to get there, right? Eventually, if you remember it enough times, eventually you don't need to remember it anymore because you are one with it. You are that awareness. So the
Mm.
memory then is not needed because you simply merged with it and you became one with it. So there's a process while we're in time, that's the means, but the end is always there because
Mm.
this awareness is still in you. It's just in time, it seems like you have a means, various means to get there. It seems to be a journey, even though ultimately when you in this, there's no more journey. The journey collapses into one. You realize, well, I was always just one mind,
Mm.
really anything separate. So this is, you see how very cleverly he takes us from duality. The idea of cause and effect, means and end, is a dualistic concept. And through the lesson, he shifts us into oneness, into non-duality. He does that a lot. Means and end are one. Okay, so the duality of means and end collapses into one awareness ultimately. And if we
Mm.
understand that, then we're gonna, it's another step in the right direction of understanding, knowing that this awareness is all there really is. Everything else, everything else is illusory, and this ultimately is the only reality. Okay. So
Yeah.
any thoughts about that one? I'm the goal the world is searching for. I'm extended as the self I seek, created as the thing I seek. So I am already that, which I am. I am that I am, but the paradox is I don't know that. So I've got to go through a process to remember that, which is awakening.
Mm.
But the means and end of awakening are both there simultaneously in my mind.
Well, that's what we have to tell ourselves because, learn part of the lesson because of that time construct.
Hmm.
So it does seem like it's that separated by time. So it does seem like a cause and effect.
Yeah, exactly. But without time, there would be no
Mm.
cause and no effect.
Mm.
So without time in eternity, no cause, no effect, no means, no end, it's one awareness. That's what he's pointing us to here.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we've just got a couple of these slides. If you want to read the text on there.
In me, God's holy Son, are reconciled all parts of heaven's plan to save the world. What could conflict when all the parts have but one purpose and one aim? How could there be a single part that stands aside, or one or more less important than the rest? One purpose, one aim, to heal, to help another reach God.
Hmm. So you have various ways that this plays out. someone who's a former healer or a therapist who does it professionally, gets paid for it.
And
Someone else who is just a teacher of God, a spiritual teacher with a pupil, kind of like what's happening here. Ordinary miracle worker, just someone being helpful. Okay, someone needs a helping hand, so I'll help out and do what's truly helpful. Being a parent is another way it can play out. So you have a child, and you need to love and care for that child, and try and teach them the truth while you do that. Okay, and the next slide, in me salvations means an end of one. Just a reiteration of some of that, and then a couple of comments. So if you can read those.
I was created as the thing, the self I seek. I am the goal the world is searching for. I am God's Son, His one eternal love. I am salvation's means and end as well. Oneself means of salvation as well as the end. I am the means by which God's Son, everyone is saved, because salvation's purpose is to find the sinlessness that God has placed in me.
So the means is letting go of sin and guilt, because those underpin a separate self that denies
Mm.
me of oneself. So that means is letting go of forgiveness. And the more we let go of sin and guilt and fear and attack, the more that our true self gets revealed. We realize that what is there really to separate us from someone else, from anyone else?
Yeah.
Just a belief that we're separate, and then that plays out as well. I'm sinful and guilty. Maybe you sinful and guilty. We project it onto others. I saw a brilliant video recently with Deborah shared it about the pattern of relationships. So we have um, two partners in a so-called special relationship, and they have trauma going on, usually from childhood, where their parents treated them. So maybe the one has had uh, a very critical a mother, and the other one had an absent father. And now those patterns cause um, coping mechanisms in them.
Mm.
So one person might stonewall and defend, the other one might be really critical and controlling, and they're just trying to cope. But then it triggers more of the same in the other partner, and the pattern just continues, and they just keep doing this. The guy called it the loop of doom. You just keep doing the same thing over and over, and you keep getting triggering each other's patterns, which then triggers more coping mechanisms, which then creates more triggers for the other person, and so on until the relationship breaks apart, or there's some kind of healing, or you go, okay, so what we really need to heal the trauma and let go of the grievances that we now hold, the conditioning of, oh, I'm not loved because my father or my mother was very critical. And so now, whenever I feel criticized by my partner, then that wound comes up. We've got to learn to let go of the woundedness and stop the coping mechanisms. Just drop it, just let it go, realizing that none of this is true. Experience isn't true. It's all a setup by the ego. You are still pure and holy and sinless and innocent, as is everyone
Mm.
else. And so you don't need a coping mechanism, because actually, what are you coping with? Untruth? You're going to believe the untruth and now try and cope with it, or you're just going to let go of what's not true. And that's the Course's very simple approach. Don't try and cope with what's not true and accommodate to it as though it's real. Just recognize its unreality. So the moment you do that, it's gone. All right, so let's go back. Yeah, I mean, I think these illustrations are quite useful, which is why I've included
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
Just gives
Just
you a
more
different
practical
perspective.
example. Yeah.
Gives you examples. Gives you
Mm.
sometimes the images are helpful. You kind of go, okay, so I can now. Last week I think we saw that one with people in a marketplace, and then one where you don't see the light shining, and then the other one you do. It's like, okay, yeah, that's
Mm.
a choice. I will either perceive that light because I choose to, or I won't. If I just
Mm.
focus on the form, I won't see it. But a mind healed and corrected is going to see that light, and then they become very different. The whole scene becomes very different. All right, so let's
Mm.
go to number 2, which is a very short prayer. So, shall I read the original again, or you want to read the original? Switch it around. Up to you. Why don't you read the original? I'll read the alternative, and then you can read the alternative
Okay.
again.
Okay. Let me today, my Father, take the role you offer me in your request that I accept atonement for myself.
My source, today I choose to take the role you offer me in your request that I accept at one minute form myself.
For thus does what thereby reconciled in me become as surely reconciled to you.
So does what is thereby reconciled in me become as surely reconciled to you. And then from the top, only two sentences to read, so if you can read that.
My source, today I choose to take the role you offer me in your request that I accept atonement for myself. For so does what is thereby reconciled in me become surely reconciled in you,
Hmm.
reconciled to you.
Yeah, reconciled to you.
So we're just accepting the role that source of God as assigned to us, let's say, or that okay, that was always there. Basically, the role's always there. Um, we accept atonement, which is like salvation, or accept that we're awakened, which means being one with Source, reconciled. I would say is just being one with.
Yeah, one awareness.
Mm.
My awareness and my source's awareness are not separate. They're the same awareness.
Mm.
Because they are. We've just done this crazy thing and chosen to be another awareness, which it was never going to work.
Mm.
So if you just read that slide, this is a depiction of the crucifixion. There's Yeshua with the 2 other prisoners on his side.
Assuredly, I say to you today, you will be with me in paradise.
So Yeshua's promise was that to these guys. One of them asked him, will we go to heaven with you? Will you be in paradise? And he said, yes. You're going to go there with me, which is the reassurance that ultimately by playing our role as Yeshua did, as the Christ, you will ultimately succeed and transcend this whole world. Okay, let me just read the final excerpt from the lesson.
Father, for thus does my brother who is therefore reconciled in me become as surely reconciled to you.
Yeah, so it's all one. If it's all one, then my brothers and I must also be reconciled. We must be one. And so does my brother become reconciled to me as well as to my source. It's all one. So my brother's reconciled to me and I'm one with source, then my brother must also be one with source, logically.
Mm.
Okay. So simple lesson, but quite profound. They're all profound.
Mm.
Elapsing time in our minds. That's why these lessons are useful, because they just take another aspect of this and they use that aspect for teaching purposes. So he's taking the apparent duality of means and end, or cause and effect, and then saying that actually they are just one. So I don't need these separate appearances anymore. I can just be one. All right. So any other thoughts or comments or questions?
No, no.
Okay, so very good. Let's shall we finish off with a meditation?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
make yourself ready for that. Just going to okay, so this is a meditation on today's lesson, workbook lesson 318. So just going somewhere, making yourself comfortable, sitting, your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight. Cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. And just start off by breathing deeply in and out through your nose. Breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Clench the sphincter muscle, which is a muscle used to lock the energy in. Feel like you drawing the energy up the spine into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart, connect with your heart space. And breathe in again, draw it up into the crown of your head. Pause at the top of the inhale. Smile, scan your mind, and just notice any thoughts, emotions, anything else coming up that is disturbing you. Where if you have anything where you think there's a means, some cause in the world of your upset, your unhappiness, your distress, just look at that. Know that there really is no means and really there is no end. So illusory appearances that you're looking at. And then be willing to let them go. So breathing in again, nice deep inhale breath. Say in me, God's Holy Son, or perfect love's innocent extension, all parts of its plan to awaken the world are reconciled. So what can really conflict when all the parts have only one purpose and one aim? And just blow it away. The breeze of your breath into the nothingness that it really is. It's going, gone. Blowing it out with the breeze of your breath. dark cloud or black smoke leaving you. It's going, gone. Smell the last remaining out. Pull the air in. Spell it all out. So ask yourself, what can conflict when all parts have only one purpose and one aim? How can there be a single part that stands alone, or one of more or less importance than the rest? And the means by which perfect love's extension is awakened, because awakening's purpose is to find the innocence that perfect love guarantees is within me. So just breathe in on that truth. Breathing in again. Deep, slow, full inhale breath. So I'm extended as the self I seek. So you breathe in, just invite this one self to arise in your mind. I'm the goal the world is searching for. I'm the goal the world is searching for. I'm perfect love's extension. It's one eternal love. So just breathe in on all this. Imagine you breathing this perfect, loving awareness into every pore, every cell. I'm perfect love's extension. It's one eternal love. So really feel into that. Just breathe in and feel this loving awareness permeating through every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. I'm perfect love's extension. Say that. As you breathe in, put one hand in your heart center. Embrace this love, feel it. Every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body. And both the means and end of awakening. And both the means and end of awakening. So the means, listening to members of perfect love, taking the right actions, to feel the love, feel the light. So just feel into this. For a few moments, say this final prayer and then just feel what the lesson is pointing to. So my Father or my source, today I choose to take the role you offer me and your request that I accept at one for myself. my source. You breathe in again. Last full maximal inhale breath. My source, today I choose to take the role you offer me in your request that I accept at one moment for myself. So I choose to take the role you offer me in your request that I accept at one moment for myself. So does what is thereby reconciled in me become surely reconciled to you. Breathe in on that. Feel this reconciliation. Feel, as the quote below from Yeshua on the cross says, assuredly I say to you, today you'll be with me in paradise. There's nowhere else to go, there's nothing else to do. Just allow this deep presence to arise in your mind. Sinking inwards with each breath, letting go of your preconceptions, your judgments. Just sinking inwards, finding peace of God that surpasses all understanding. It's been called by the Apostle Paul in the Bible. When thoughts come up, seemingly disturb your peace, just be aware of them. Breathe into them and remind yourself, I choose to take the role that my source offers me. This request that I accept at one moment for myself. Breathe in that, fully embrace it. Every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Finding this deep peace and stillness, quietness, and this turmoil. Just reveling in the peace, the stillness, joy. And on the count of three, just gently going to come back into awareness of the body and the breath, the senses and the world. On the count of 3, you can open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. So on the count of 1, just breathing in, noticing any smell in your nose, maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth. Notice what you're hearing. As you breathe in, notice the air flowing in through the nostrils, the spine. Clench the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in, draw it up the spine, feel a warm wave of energy rising up into heart center, into the crown. Pause at the top of the inhale, scan your mind. It's more, notice anything that you don't want there that feels in any way negative. I don't want it constricting in any way. Now just exhale, remind yourself that means an end, or same, means an end of awakening are one in me, they're the same in me. Breathe in on this realization, then just let go of any lingering belief that they are something else than this. Now just exhale, blowing it out with the breeze of your breath. Exhale, just exhale out any dark energy. Imagine it's like a dark cloud or a black smoke leaving you. Going, gone. Low stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. Exhale it all out. Notice how the air flows out, chest and stomach suck back in. Low stomach into the spine. So blow it all out with the breeze of your breath. Low stomach into the spine. Just rest here. So the bottom of the exhale, just notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling and touching. Expel all the last remaining air out. So all the remaining breath, negativity, so finally on the count of 3, just going to open your eyes, have a look around in this very calm, quiet, peaceful state. Notice how you're feeling compared with 15 minutes ago. You want to anchor this state in for the rest of the evening, carrying on into tomorrow. So set that intention. So it is said, so it is done. So that you see everything as one, means and end are one. collapses into one. You are the one self with one awareness. There's no cause and effect, no means and end. So it is. Amen. Which brings us to the end of the lesson and today's session. So thank you, Kim. All right, so shall we leave it there? Let's end the session there, and I'll see you again next week, maybe same time. Okay. I want to say goodnight. You probably dropped off, Kim, so hope you sleep well.
I'll
Namaste.
see you, Jenna.
Oh, you're still there. Okay, good. Yeah. Sleep well, and I will see you next week, maybe Wednesday. I was thinking possibly. It's a good
Yeah,
day. Does that work for you?
yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay.
And
All right.
I'll be in touch about the trading and stuff as well.
All right.
All right.
Good. All
Thanks.
right, Jenna. Good night. Namaste from there.
Namaste. All right.
Thank you. Night. Bye.
Bye for now. Okay, so that is a wrap for today. Thank you for joining. If you watched the live stream, if you're watching this as a recording, why not hit the subscribe button so you can subscribe to the channel and get these more of these videos. At least once a week I go live. You can also go to lifebull.com, and there you can sign up for a free Telegram group in which I send out the kind of material that I shared in the session, daily quote, some teaching around that, and a daily lesson from A Course in Miracles, along with a short breath break or mini meditation to help you practice the lesson, and details of these live sessions, including login links. So check it out. Go to lifebull.com, sign up, and you'll join the Telegram group. We are restarting the whole program in March, so now's a good time to join. I will be notifying people in the group about a masterclass that I'm doing. So join the group and you'll be kept in the loop. And that masterclass will give you an introduction to the program, of course, the program, and how it all works and what it can do for you. So subscribe and you'll be hearing from me. I hope to catch you on the inside of the group or on one of these live sessions perhaps soon. Thanks for listening and watching, and namaste, which means the one self in me acknowledges and honors that same one self in you.